Camera, we good online?
We're good to go.
I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:36 with apologies for the brief delay. So for agenda review, no Dresden meeting. Thank you to our Norwich colleagues for joining us.
Colleague.
I really think our Norwich colleagues.
One and done.
Thank you for being introduced.
You're welcome. Hello, Hannah.
So noting that this is not a full meeting, so a lot of our normal stuff is not on the agenda tonight, you're welcome. We will do the obligatory things, agenda review. Anyone have to add or subtract or otherwise amend anything on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll move right along. Opportunity for public comment. I do see some public both on Zoom and in person. If there's something you wish to talk about tonight that is not related to things already on the agenda, now is the time to do so. Just raise your Zoom hand or your in-person hand and let us know.
In-person hand is funny. I like it.
Seeing none.
Getting it to now.
Right along. Is your hand up?
You have an in-person hand.
So come up to the owls, which are these little devices right here, and let us know what's on your mind. Yes.
State your name and.
Thank you so much. So I'm Karen Height,
I'm Gabriel Heck.
parent of a HHS senior.
Okay.
And so we have a bunch of questions about the technology issues that are happening. And I don't know, we are new to coming to a school board meeting, so not sure if this is the place to ask or not. So.
So I can help you with that.
Yeah.
So this is not intended to be what's called a forum. There's a back and forth
Yeah.
questions. We are happy to hear whatever you have to say. But
And-
since we have no idea what you're about to say, we may or may not have answers for you. So,
My question really was HHS related is.
yeah, that addresses
It's
high school.
Okay.
Yes, well done.
That is very.
So do you want to go ahead? Okay, so one of the questions we have is, so we are new to this requirement of using school issued Chromebooks.
Okay.
And based on information I'm getting from my student and other students, we want to know what the school board is going to do to ensure that students have high enough quality technology to be able to support the academic needs of the classroom, because there's a big gap in the Chromebooks that are provided and what's expected academically to perform. There, I mean, what, do you want to say?
Well,
anything
for
to that?
context, I was using my Chromebook in class as I'm now required to do, and I'm literally typing words into my Google Doc, and the words appear about 10 seconds later on the screen from when I'm typing, which is obviously not ideal when I'm trying to, do a free write in class or do an assignment online during class. So I just wanted to know, this is a lot different from using my personal computer. So how is that gonna be solved? Because that's obviously a big issue.
And then a follow-up question to that was that, so do you want to talk about your privacy concerns, or do you want me to?
Well, also, yes, the Chromebooks, I have a lot of concerns about privacy, meaning like considering Google and their, what is it?
Well,
Data and just harvesting student data, especially of kids like me, and how that is being handled by the school district.
With Google having required Google devices, knowing that Google is a leader in the business of surveillance capitalism. And so how is the school board going to address that? And then another thing that's come up just in the first few weeks of school is there's a lot of changing of what the expectations are around these new rules, and kids are not knowing, students are not knowing what is expected. So we're hearing rumors they're going to be suspended if they bring their own devices. We're hearing now that they can't even bring their cell phones to school. And so we're just looking for some written information of where to find what the expectations are beyond the kind of vague policies that we signed. And then from my perspective as a parent, so I have a student who bikes to school. I just do a check in the morning on Find My Kid to just make sure he gets to school safely, because the attendance reporting sometimes has been days later, like, oh, your kid was marked unexcused 2 days ago. And so I'm hearing that they're going to cut off access to Wi-Fi or that the kids might not be able to bring their phones to school. And the communication that came from the high school was plan accordingly for not being able to communicate with your student And like, I am 100% on board with reducing the technology dependence, and I don't know how to plan accordingly for safety issues. And, God forbid if there were a lockdown issue, I mean, whatever kind of lockdown it could be. I mean, there was a bear, right, at Ray School at one point, or maybe it was RMS, like, how do we, how are we,
Yeah.
how do we plan accordingly, I guess, is my question. It was very vague. And there was a kind of, we'll evaluate and reevaluate, and we don't, as parents, know what that means. So for now, if it gets turned off, I'm planning to just call the attendance office every morning and say, is my kid there? Have you laid eyes on him? But that's a big burden on me as a parent. So that's just, and I'm sure other parents have similar concerns.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
thank you for coming
Yeah.
tonight, especially at an off-site location. So we really appreciate
Yeah.
that. And there are several different issues that you're presenting all that are all kind of happening at the same time.
Right,
One is the cell phone policy, which, as you may know, is actually coming down from the state.
right.
And so right now, we at the policy committee, which feeds into the full boards, are addressing with how to deal with that from a policy and implementation perspective. The school has had its own specific Hanover High School policy for a couple of years now. That is still in effect as of now. The policy coming from the state is something we're still working on. A related but separate issue is the Wi-Fi becoming available only to staff and students on official devices. That is a new security-related change that happened at the beginning of the school year, which is having all sorts of trickle-down effects, some intended, some not so intended. So IT is dealing with that right now, and I'm not gonna pretend to attest to what they're saying, but that is a good thing we're dealing with. Other issues are the fact not only is the Wi-Fi been changed for security reasons, but that there's no real good publicly available Wi-Fi via the phone networks, et cetera, specific to the high school. That is more of that's a town Verizon type problem that we are also trying to figure out what we can do about that, if anything. All three of those things are kind of happening around the same time. And in terms of the attendance software, I can't attest to that. If someone else wants to, that they can. But thank you for bringing this issue to our attention. The fourth or fifth issue is the Chromebook specific thing, which is new to me. And based on your experience, I'm gonna ask a question of you. In terms of the lag time and other things, is that new? That is as of this year, or is it used to be better and now it's worse, or this has been an ongoing issue?
So in the past, I've been able to bring my personal device, which is a lot more powerful than school Chromebooks.
Mhm.
This year, because they're saying, and I'm hearing that students are being called down to the office for using personal devices, and that teachers are reporting that their students are using these devices, and the tech department wants to know who's using these devices so that everyone is using a Chromebook.
Mhm.
However, my Chromebook, whenever I try to do, just a typical day's work of homework and in-class assignments, the Chromebook will lag horribly, and like I'm not able to get my work done as efficiently as my personal device.
Okay. That is good to know. I appreciate that
And I
context.
think you started with your personal device early because
Because of the Chromebook.
And when we-
So bad.
when we've asked people who know about technology, what they said is this is kind of a toy computer, is how they described it.
I think it's safe to say they're not high end, nor are they intended to be.
Yeah.
And our superintendent, Roman Steiner, would like to chime in as well.
Hi, thank you for coming. We do have our Director of Technology who will be presenting at our Dresden board meeting, which will be coming up, I think, on the,
Tuesday, the 23rd,
yeah.
where he will be
So-
in attendance.
If you have specific
Okay.
questions, that's a good time to ask.
Okay, cool. All right, Deb.
Great, thank you.
I would also say that council is entertaining a motion about cell phones, and there was a very animated conversation today, and so there may be information circulating about punishment and et cetera, and how are we going to obey this law, and should we obey this law, that may have gotten ahead of reality.
That was kind of my suspicion. It'd be nice to have sort of, as this
Yes.
is evolving, given that this, you're also responding to the state, just some regular
Right.
communications
Mhm.
that's fact.
There was-
Versus kind of what we're hearing.
Yeah, there were a lot of questions that students had, and over the course of the hour, there was a noticeable rise in agitation. And so I wouldn't be surprised if by the time they left the room, there was a lot of conversation, and one student specifically said, no one is gonna like us for implementing for, as if it was the council's responsibility. And I thought, no. It's not your job, it's not your law, but I think that may be part of what's going on here
Yeah,
too.
and I will not be popular with my teenager by saying, if you want to just take all the assignments offline and have them write paper in cursive.
Also suggest that you take your Chromebook into Suzanne and tell her you have a
Yeah.
problem, which might be specific to your computer.
From what I'm seeing by like my other classmates using the Chromebooks, this is just a typical Chromebook.
Okay.
But that's a good.
And I would also like to say that the phone policy we have now, where, you put it in a bin, you can use it in the halls, that works perfectly fine, and that's.
But it's against the law.
Right.
Oh,
That's
Right.
the problem. The issue.
We are working on our interpretation.
Sorry.
And one of the intricacies too is that it's more, instead of you will follow this policy, it's you will have a policy.
Hmm.
Which is something that we are grappling with as to what thing, especially with given our particular IT needs and the availability of public Wi-Fi.
Hmm.
Kelly, then Lisa, and then we should move on if possible.
Yeah, I more for, when we have this fuller discussion at the next meeting. I would also be curious if the internet is part of the slowness. I know
Yeah.
when I was teaching there briefly and I had them do a Google Doc assignment, the internet crashed, went down, nobody could do what I'd planned. So I'm wondering now that everyone is having to work through this medium at the same time, if that's creating, some wear and tear on the network. And also, I know, Ben, you said it, but I think, part of, I think as a board, we maybe want to think about the fact that we put the cell phone thing in at the same time as we limited the devices. And I think that's creating a lot of concern and angst at a time when we have two very separate things going on.
Yeah.
So just acknowledging that.
Well, thank you so much. I heard someone say, you were just gonna vote the way you said it.
And I'm gonna continue this with a question. I was also wondering if it's just internet strain, since the internet went out. It has been kind of iffy, so that the slowness might be that factor. Also, I would be curious, and I had a question for
Mhm.
the staff. My kids had Chromebooks their whole history at Hanover High, which was not that long ago. One of them just graduated 14 months ago. And they did not complain, like they were able to get their assignments done, things happened. So I'm wondering if we just need newer if the Chromebooks have gotten outdated and we need newer ones. I never heard from them or their peers that the Chromebooks were a problem. So I'm wondering.
They're purchasing them every year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I guess I'm just wondering like what's different this year, because I had a lot of chatty people from many classes wandering through my home and never heard anything. They did say that when they, as seniors, finally got their own personal device and used it, it was more comfortable, but it never inhibited their ability to get the assignments done. And I think those are two different issues. There's one is like, yes, you can have a much better device. And then does it allow you to get your work done? So, I just, those are my questions.
So I think what we're hearing is there's lots of concurring issues happening right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. We
Yep.
will work on those specific issues as well as expect a full update from our IT at the next meeting on the 23rd, 7 o'clock, high school library. You are more than welcome to attend at any time.
Great.
Thank you very much.
And tell your friends.
Also, for a note taker, would you mind spelling your last name?
Huyck.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And then we do have a need to go into non-public regarding personnel and new hires, so I will take a motion for that if somebody would. Deb?
Move to enter into non-public session at 6:50 PM under RSA 91-A:3 to, no, that's parentheses, B, hiring.
We'll go around the horn, starting with Marcella. I should-
Yes.
Connell, yes. Sullivan, yes.
Sure.
Nelson, yes.
Christie, yes.
Russell, yes.
And Keeney, yes, we will see everyone soon.
Where do we go?
So excited. Oh my gosh.
Not even close. Not even close.
Jan, you ready to go? Okay, we'll call us back into session. And I will take a motion to approve the new hires if someone would like to do so. Deb.
I move to approve hiring the following: Chelsea Vogt as the interim associate principal at Richmond Middle School, Lisa Lacassi as the 0.60 FTE art substitute for one semester at Hanover High School, Mary Zanzinger as the 0.25 FTE strings teacher at RMS, and a 0.20 FTE strings teacher at Hanover High School for the 25-26 school year.
No, take a time, McConnell briefly stepped down. It's not. Oh, it's just 20 with me. Right. So then we can do this by motion vote. So all those in favor? Right, it is unanimous 8-0. Thank you, everyone. We have a second opportunity for public comment. We do have folks online and members of the public, so please feel free to raise your hand if you have a Zoom question. Okay, seeing no questions, we will move right on and we will happily adjourn this meeting at 7:04. If you have any topics for the next scheduled meeting, which will still happen in September on Tuesday, the 23rd, please send them my way. Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move to adjourn the meeting at 7:04 PM.
Seconded by Lisa again. We'll go around the horns again, starting with Marcella.
Yes. McCall, yes.
Sullivan, yes.
Nelson, yes?
Christie, yes?
Russell, yes.
And Keeney, yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for Hanover.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, Lisa.
I'll sleep
You're
out.
welcome.
I don't
Stay.
feel bad. Now I feel guilty.
You should trot out while you can with it.
No, that would be and Vina.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Tara, for all the good stuff that you had to do.